Hello, and welcome to The Deep Dive. I'm Grace Woelfel. Artificial intelligence continues to develop at striking rates. AI tools like ChatGPT and Google Gemini can analyze data, recreate speech, and generate text. Along with these innovations comes concerns from educators about students learning, critical thinking, and academic integrity. But how is St. Thomas addressing these opportunities and issues with using AI? I'm joined by St. Thomas Provost and Director of the Institute for AI for the Common Good, Eddy Rojas, and St. Thomas Professor of Software Engineering and Data Science, and the Director for the Center for Applied Artificial Intelligence, Manjeet Rege. Thank you for joining us today.
Sure, thank you.
Professor Rege, as an expert in the field as well as an educator, what recent developments in AI have begun to shaken up the classroom?
Well, ChatGPT kind of came upon us, about 3 years ago or so. Prior to that, we had access to AI, but with generative AI kind of becoming mainstream, you now have access to creating new code, new text, new images, new video, new music. So while there are issues with copyright and how this will impact jobs and things like that, but because of this level of access, you can now take your own classroom material, upload it to, let's say, Google Gemini and ChatGPT, and it can create personalized tutoring for you. But then it also raises other questions, like if you have a term paper, right? The current state of technology cannot guarantee whether it was written by AI or written by a human. So there is that gray area that educators have to kind of face with.
And Provost Rojas, the Institute for the AI for the Common Good was introduced to students this August. Can you tell me a little bit about what the Institute is and does?
Yes, absolutely. So that's our new initiative at the university, and it's kind of an umbrella organization for us to coordinate all of our efforts on AI. We're doing a lot, but we're doing a lot with packets of opportunity here and there. So what the Institute is doing is bringing everybody together so that we can coordinate, we can integrate our efforts, and we can optimize what we're doing. And you see the name of the Institute, talking about the common good, is because we don't leave our values out the door when you enter to have a meeting at the Institute. It's the other way around. We come to our meetings, to all of our tasks and activities with the idea that our values are going to be front and center. Because in my view, Catholic education has a lot to say and a lot to contribute in a world that is going to be AI dominated.
Yeah. Professor Rege, we asked random students on campus how often they use AI and what they use AI for. I'll have you take a look. How many times per week do you use AI for school-related tasks?
I probably use AI about 3 to 4 times a week, maybe 5.
Almost every day.
Probably every day. Every day.
Probably say around 2 times a week.
Probably at least once a day.
Maybe once a day.
Once or twice a day.
Once a week or twice a week.
At least 4 times a week.
3 to 4 times.
Okay, and what platform do you use?
ChatGPT.
I use mostly chat.
ChatGPT, same here, yeah.
Chat.
I use Grammarly, sometimes ChatGPT.
I use ChatGPT.
I use it to study mostly, and then also just with coming up with ideas for like essays and other things, but mostly to study.
I put in like my notes and make it create questions and stuff.
Often I use ChatGPT to help me understand my coding projects, so I'll have it break it down to me what might be wrong and have it explained to me without giving me the answer a couple of times. Maybe sometimes I'll get the answer.
Like a lot for my classes, I have to read pretty dense scholarly material, and I read it and I'm like, what the heck? So I'll go back and I'll ask it to like, can you just give me like the main points so I can be refreshed before I go into class?
I think I've learned to use it better and better as like time has gone by. Kind of mostly now I think I use it to understand the material better, or to maybe, generate some ideas if I'm lacking some creativity.
With research, I don't have to spend more time just researching on my own. I think chat does a good job of that.
Mainly just for like helping out with like minute busy work that I don't really want to do, like calculations, or like I'm neuroscience major, so I do a lot of like molecular stuff. Like I'm in organic chemistry right now, so it's mainly just like looking up things that I don't really want to do myself.
How do these examples reflect proper and ethical use of AI in an academic setting?
Yeah, so AI has kind of become a lot more invisible, and it will continue to become more invisible. So I think what students were talking about were the conscious use of AI, whether it is going to Gemini or to ChatGPT. But a lot of other tools, such as if you look at Microsoft Excel, gone are the days when you had to actually type in a formula to do something in it. You can now prompt that with English. Now, speaking of ethical usage, that is where, on one hand, as an educator, we have to prepare students for the real world. There has been a lot of research that has shown that in the workplace, in a number of professions, no matter what, when you make use of AI, your level of performance goes up. There was this study by Boston Consulting Group, and they divided the consultants into two groups, the top performers and the low performers. And the low performers, their performance went up as a result of using ChatGPT as a tool. So we have that responsibility of preparing students for the real world where they would be using AI on a regular basis. But at the same time, we have to also make sure that they are learning something along the way. They are not just learning to use the tool, but they are using the tool to grasp knowledge, at the same time reproduce that knowledge at the right place as well.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. Provost Rojas, we also asked random students how they felt AI impacted their learning. I'll have you take a look as well.
I personally haven't experienced that it's impacted my learning in a negative way necessarily. Sometimes, maybe it limits my creativity a little bit, but with time I've learned to kind of generate that again.
I feel like, obviously, if you're already just using AI, like the whole school year, you're not going to learn nothing, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think it impacts my learning that much.
There's a difference between using AI to do your work for you and using it to help you in your work. So I feel like when used right, AI is very helpful in tasks.
If I'm supposed to be doing work in an assignment, I'm supposed to be actually learning. So if I use ChatGPT or AI, then I'm just having it do the work for me and I'm not actually learning.
I think when it's used correctly, it can help you better understand complicated, topics and whatnot.
I think it can be helpful. I think if we're able to utilize it the way it's supposed to be used, other than, just using it for cheating and stuff like that, it can really impact your life and help you out.
I think it's very helpful actually, just by using it as a study material. Honestly, it's really helpful in that way.
What's your reaction to hearing those comments?
Yeah, I think they're absolutely right. It depends on how you use it. AI is a tool like any other tool. It's not inherently good or inherently bad. It depends on how you apply it. Let me give you an analogy. Let's say that you go to the gym and you want to exercise because you want to develop your muscles. And so you're going to the gym and you're developing those muscles every single day. Suddenly, you have access to a robot. And so you bring your robot to the gym and you have the robot do the exercises for you. And the robot can do the exercises well and maybe better than you, but are you developing any muscles as a result of that? Of course not, right? Now, if you bring the robot and you ask the robot, can you coach me? Can you tell me if I'm using the proper form as I'm lifting these weights, right? And I'm doing the exercise correctly or not? Then that is extremely helpful. So use that analogy when you are thinking about artificial intelligence. You don't want that robot to do the exercise for you. You don't want to outsource your thinking, right? You want AI to be a coach, to be a helper, to augment your capabilities, not to replace them.
How is the university promoting that mindset with its students?
Yes, through our work in the AI Institute for the Common Good, we're going to be getting into the classroom. And we are not there yet because we are at the planning stages, but we definitely want to make sure that our students understand the proper usage of AI. And something that we want to do, we want to provide opportunities for what we call upskilling or reskilling of all of our constituencies. So not only students, but also faculty and staff. So there will be exciting opportunities coming along in the near future.
Yeah. Professor Rege, AI seems to be reaching further and further, transforming essentially every discipline. Are there certain majors or fields that might be more impacted by AI use than others?
I think one has to make a distinction between getting exposed to AI and getting displaced by AI. No matter what job you're doing today, you will be getting exposed to AI in some aspect or the other. If you look at any job profile, a job profile consists of a number of tasks. And there has been research that shows that there are certain jobs that can get heavily automated and as a result will get displaced by AI. And then there are other jobs that will definitely get impacted in terms of, there will be a larger component of which might be done by an AI, and your overall efficiency is going to go up. So I think that is the balance, right? There could be certain professions, and such as office support, for example, healthcare support. Those, if you currently have like 5 employees, may go down to, let's say, 1 employee who can do all of those tasks, and then the others have to be kind of reskilled, and they need to find other jobs that make use of AI so that they can come back into the workforce.
Yeah, I know you touched on this briefly, but what are the potential risks of AI that educators and students should be aware of?
So when you look at the evolution of the World Wide Web, well, what that did was that it just gave access to this large amount of data. So in the past, you had to go and look for a book in the library or a particular research journal, but it just gave all of that information to you at your fingertips. Now with generative AI, you are able to get that even exponentially higher level of access to information. So I think, again, there is a difference between having access to information and learning. So just because we have so much access through ChatGPT, where it is able to synthesize a lot of information and answer a question for you in terms of research, that time that you would have invested in going and looking for stuff in the library has now suddenly gone down. ChatGPT can do that for you. But still, that responsibility as educators for making sure that students are learning. And then, as you heard from students as well, that if you prompt and it develops code for you, well, on an ongoing basis, a human would have to go in and maintain that code as well. So that level of knowledge for programming is essential.
Mm-hmm. And Provost Rojas, can you tell me about the good it provides?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that AI can be very useful for society. Very recently, I was aware of a paper that was written a couple of years ago by 2 Nobel Prize winners in economics. And they were talking about, that society has a choice on how to apply artificial intelligence. We can take the easy route and just automate what people are doing right now, and so eliminate a significant number of jobs and just create wealth for a few people. Or we can go in a different way and say, we don't want to just automate or replace. We want to augment. We want to amplify. We want to create new possibilities, new services. When we talk about AI at the University of St. Thomas, that's what we're focusing on, Grace. We're focusing on augmenting the student experience, for example. We are looking into tutors that could be AI based, that could be part of your Canvas site, for example, in your courses. But how do we do that in a way that is going to supplement the tutoring services that we're offering already, not replace them? Mm-hmm. So I think that society has a choice here, and I agree with those 2 Nobel Prize winners in economics that talk about the best path forward for society with AI is not to think about the easy path out, which is just automation, but how can we augment and improve what we're doing and offering new services, and then create wealth for society as a whole, focusing on the common good.
According to the AI policies and guidelines page on One St. Thomas, the university, quote, does not have an umbrella policy on the use of AI, end quote. Can you tell me about how this decision was reached?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, AI is evolving almost on a daily basis. So having a policy is extremely difficult. And then it is specific to every particular subject matter. So a policy that may work well on an writing course when you're supposed to be doing your own writing, right, may not work as well on a coding class when it is okay for you to use AI to help you develop some of the code. So what we have are mostly guidelines and best practices that we recommend for different areas rather than having a university-wide policy.
Would there ever be a situation where the university would roll out a policy?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I believe that there may be some opportunity to have some general ground rules for the institution at a really that 30,000 feet level, right? But specific guidelines or policies is difficult because, as I said, it's almost discipline specific, case by case basis.
Yeah. Thank you two for coming in today.
Sure. Absolutely.
Follow along at thecrest.news and follow us on social media at The Crest News for more stories from your campus community. With Provost Eddy Rojas and Professor Manjeet Rege, I'm Grace Woelfel. We'll see you next time we deep dive.